Now, no doubt Diddy is still in the news and it's not so good. The university is also, a university in America, Howard University to be precise, is returning a $1 million contribution, terminating a 2016 gift arrangement with Combs, a scholarship in his name, and a 2023 pledge agreement with the Sean Combs Foundation. The board of this university voted unanimously. Joining me to have this conversation is our very own, of course, international correspondent, Afia Hagar. Afia, good to have you join us on the show.
Great to be here with you, Sam.
Are you surprised? We've had a ton of conversations leading up to this point. Are you surprised that this is happening at this time? Did you think it was going to happen at any point? Talk to me.
I'm not surprised that this has happened. I probably thought it would have happened a bit sooner, actually, but I think organizations are now taking stock on the links that they have with Diddy, and I'm sure other brands and companies he works with are doing the same thing. And I think actually what has spurred this on was that terrible video that was released to CNN a few weeks ago that we have spoken about quite a few times, where you saw, in really, in high definition, black and white, P. Diddy attacking Cassie. Now, we did have Cassie talking about what happened to her back in December. Now you've seen this video evidence. I think it's now got to a point where brands, companies, and people like Howard University, the biggest historically black university in the United States, can now no longer deny what is happening with Diddy. And I think they felt that this was the perfect time as we get to the end of the tuition year, essentially before you have a new intake in September, to end this scholarship, which is actually a real shame for students, right? $1 million grant, scholarships for kids to go to university. It's a great thing, but it's not a great thing if it's coming from someone who is toxic, and he is toxic. He's toxic for any brand at the moment. So Howard University, I think, making the right decision and ending any association with Diddy. So no scholarships in his name, not accepting any more not accepting any more donations from his foundation, and no longer associated with Diddy in any way, shape, or form.
Now, we have talked in the past about, of course, him paying the pricing in whatever form that looks like, whether his name, of course, being drawn down from several notable brands. But in this particular one, you had talked about this money is taking from him and giving back to the people. So my concerns, of course, are this could have helped so many students, to get into school. I'm thinking, could there be another way this could have happened without, stripping people potentially, from getting, from the wealth that he's, of course, made from we who used to be fans? What do you think?
And that's actually a really good point that you've made. You're absolutely right in saying that it is a real shame, actually, that students are now going to miss out on these scholarships. It was worth $1 million, for them to be able to go to university, and the cost of tuition for university at somewhere like Howard will run into thousands. So yes, it is a shame that it has happened in this way, but Howard, a university, have to think about themselves, about their brand, and about the people that they represent and the people that they want to be associated with. And if the Diddy brand is toxic, which it is right now, you may have people who wouldn't actually want to even apply for that scholarship, wouldn't want to have any money in that name coming to them, because they, will be associated with him. The proceeds of money that he's made whilst he was doing terrible things to Cassie and other people, the money that he's made off that now goes towards their education. It's how they would feel about that. And it's also about how Howard University as a brand and what they can be associated with. And they don't want to be associated with someone who is on tape in black and white assaulting a woman in the way that they have. It's not good for them at all. So you are right. It's a shame, actually, that people will be missing out on their education. But hopefully this is a time where another brand, maybe another superstar, someone who has philanthropy at heart, can step up and step into that gap and say, actually, we will do what the Diddy Foundation was doing. We can match that pledge. We can provide those scholarships. I'm hoping that by them taking this very public step and acknowledging, actually, that we don't want to be associated with this person, and we'd actually rather lose those donations than continue our affiliation with someone who purports violence against women. Hopefully somebody will see that that's a good thing and step up and fill in that gap.
Well, truthfully, nobody wants to be associated with, of course, such a negative light. But speaking about, students and, of course, the next generation, because truly, those who are in school right now are the next generation of, Americans and general people in the world. What do you think this is teaching the general public and, university students themselves and, honestly, fans across the entire globe? What do you think this message passes to everyone?
This is a very strong message that when it comes to Diddy, the brand is done. The brand no longer means anything. It's not as strong as it was, and it's toxic as heck, and nobody wants to be associated with it. This sends a very, very strong message. And you've had other brands along the way, alcohol brands and clothing brands, that have also disassociated themselves from Diddy. And this also says to fans, that unfortunately Diddy is done. He is no longer your go-to for music, for fashion, for anything. That he is toxic and people don't want to be associated with him. Sends a really, really strong message. And hopefully he gets the message as well. As we've said before, we've talked about Diddy's wealth, and we've also talked about the people that have accused him along the way of various things, and how will they get any kind of compensation. And we've said that, and I've said no amount of compensation can be enough. But if you can stop contributing to his wealth, then that is a really good thing as well. And brands are seeing that. By having that Diddy association, you are contributing to his wealth. And brands no longer want to do that anymore.
Well, it's definitely a fantastic message, teaching people to behave better, because no matter how powerful you truly are, if you have done wrong, well, you will certainly pay the price. I want to quickly touch on, of course, the Harvey Weinstein story. He's appealed the LA rape conviction. Were you expecting this? And what are the, what would I say are his reasons, before the court to actually appeal? Talk to me.
Yes, I was expecting this. Now, we saw him handed a 23-year prison sentence, and that kickstarted the Me Too movement. But that was overturned in April. And now he's saying that he didn't get a fair trial in a 2022 case where he was convicted of rape and sexual assault. That resulted in a 16-year prison sentence. So because that case, was overturned in New York, I was expecting him to appeal this in California, and that's exactly what he has done. Now, his lawyers are saying the evidence was wrongly excluded from the trial, showing that the model who he was convicted of raping had a sexual relationship with another director that was at the film festival that they attended. They also said that the judge was wrong to allow jurors to know about Weinstein's previous, now vacated conviction in New York. And then it was a similar situation to his now overturned New York conviction. And the judge was, the jury was unfairly prejudiced by testimony from women about alleged assaults that he was not charged with. The bottom line is that Harvey Weinstein is in very ill health. He has cardiac problems, type 2 diabetes, he's nearly blind. He will do anything to get out of prison. And the fact that he had that case overturned in New York means that he's been given a bit of hope, if you will, that the same thing will happen in California. So when you ask me, was I expecting this? Absolutely, yes. I was expecting him to appeal anywhere else that he's been convicted. And that's exactly what is happening in California.
Now, I must ask, because we're running out of time, what do you see as the outcome of this appeal? How do you think it will affect future cases involving allegations of sexual assault or harassment, and especially this particular case? What do you predict would be the outcome of this?
I think because of the overturning of his conviction in New York, that was the start of the Me Too movement, that was a real blow to women's campaigners who thought that, if someone like Harvey Weinstein can be held accountable, then there's hope for all of us. And I think if this does go the way that he's expected and his California conviction is overturned as well, it's devastating for the Me Too movement, and it's devastating for women everywhere who are hoping for convictions and will come forward when these kind of crimes happen to them. We might see less women coming forward if they think that nothing will be done. So I think, there's a lot to consider here with this case. Will I think it'll be overturned? I think only time will tell. But I think if it is, it will be devastating for the Me Too movement.
Afia, it's always a pleasure having you on the show. I know that we will certainly have you back, of course, because things will keep evolving. And, you're definitely the best person to have the conversation with. Of course, thank you again for your time.
Thank you.